Golden Bachelor, did producers set Mel Owens up for a fall? September 25th, 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bachelor Nation News. Fans Golden Bachelor star Mel Owens was at a serious disadvantage before his season even began. In his first interview after landing the leading role, he made comments about an age requirement for his contestants. He said that he told producers he didn't want to date anyone over the age of 60. But the show is about senior citizens looking for love later in life. The ages of the women from the first season ranged from 60 to 75. Jerry Turner chose Teresa Nist, 70, as his winner. They got engaged, married, and divorced in less than a year, but her age had nothing to do with it. The women who arrived at the Bachelor Mansion for Mel Owens' season were between the ages of 58 and 77 years old, despite his preferences. Fans have a wild conspiracy theory about the age controversy. Did producers set up Mel Owens for a fall? Mel Owens makes amends for hurtful comments. Mel Owens was on the University of Michigan's football podcast a few months ago. It was his first public interview since he was announced as the next Golden Bachelor. It didn't go well. He said that he told producers that he was eliminating any women over 60. The former NFL player also said he didn't want anyone with wigs or artificial hips. Once the podcast went mainstream, Bachelor Nation fans immediately called for a boycott of the new season. Mel Owens eventually apologized for the comments, saying he had never watched the show before and didn't realize the show casts women over 60 for the Golden Bachelor spinoff. But he still had to face the women chosen as the contestants on Season 2. They confronted him when they arrived at the Bachelor Mansion in California. Mel Owens was contrite for his hurtful remarks and hoped he would get another chance with the women and viewers. Did Golden Bachelor producers set him up for a fall? Mel Owens made a name for himself playing for the University of Michigan. He was drafted 9th by the Los Angeles Rams in the 1981 NFL Draft. He spent 9 seasons with the team before retiring and pursuing a law career. The former professional football player was married for almost 20 years before his divorce in 2020. He said in the intro to The Golden Bachelor that he hadn't dated much since the divorce, but was ready to find love again. But did the producers set him up to fail from the beginning? One Bachelor Nation fan took to social media to share a wild theory about the controversy surrounding Mel Owens. The whole podcast thing was a setup to generate publicity for his season. He was coached by ABC to make those shitty comments to generate controversy, they wrote. The theory was met with mixed reactions. One fan agreed and wrote, "Actually, it doesn't seem that unrealistic. It is super weird they didn't replace him when given the chance." But a second fan disagreed, writing, "No, he was married to someone 20 years younger than he is. He's just icky." It may seem unlikely that the producers would go to such extremes to garner interest, but several previous contestants have spoken out about how the producers manipulated them for drama. Daisy Kent revealed how they get the contestants to cry on cue. Do you think the Golden Bachelor producers set up Mel Owens for ratings?
Mel Owens as the Golden Bachelor was supposed to be a dream, a fairy tale, a late-in-life chance at love that would silence the critics and cement his legacy as one of the most captivating figures reality television had ever seen. Instead, whispers began the moment his season premiered. The audience wasn't swooning, they weren't applauding, they were questioning. And as the weeks rolled on, the whispers turned into shouts. Was Mel Owens ever meant to succeed? Or had producers carefully orchestrated his downfall from the very beginning? When ABC announced Mel Owens as the second Golden Bachelor, the world of Bachelor Nation was split. Unlike Jerry Turner, the original Golden lead who had charmed audiences with his teary backstory and warm smile, Mel was rougher around the edges. At 63, he was a retired firefighter with a booming laugh, a love of Harley-Davidsons, and a reputation among friends for being a little too blunt. Some fans found his honesty refreshing. Others saw red flags. But even before the first limo pulled up, there was an uncomfortable question hovering. Why Mel? Rumors suggested that producers had bypassed several safer, more camera-ready choices to land on him. A casting insider later claimed, "There were men who fit the mold better. Mel was different, but different also means unpredictable, and unpredictability means ratings." From day one, it seemed Mel was stepping into a role designed not for love, but for chaos. Every Bachelor season lives or dies based on casting. The women competing for Mel's heart were glamorous, accomplished, and diverse in life experiences, but eagle-eyed viewers noticed something strange. Instead of pairing Mel with women who matched his outspoken energy, producers seemed to handpick contestants who would clash with him. Take Donna, the elegant 61-year-old widow who thrived on quiet dignity. She was the opposite of Mel's bold, extroverted style. Their conversations seemed strained, as though producers wanted viewers to notice the lack of chemistry. Or Veronica, a 59-year-old yoga instructor with a gentle spiritual aura. Mel cracked jokes that often fell flat with her, and she would smile politely while cameras lingered on her awkward expression. Then there was Linda, brash, opinionated, and never afraid of conflict. She and Mel were cut from the same cloth. Too much so. Arguments flared almost immediately, and while audiences devoured the drama, some questioned whether producers had thrown gasoline on the fire by pushing Linda forward. One critic put it bluntly. The women weren't chosen to find love with Mel, they were chosen to make him look bad. Fans of reality TV know that editing is everything. On The Golden Bachelor, it seemed Mel's every word was sharpened to cut deeper than intended. Jokes that were lighthearted in context suddenly looked cruel when stripped of laughter. Compliments came across as backhanded. Pauses were inserted in conversations to make Mel look disinterested. One shocking example came in episode 3. A dinner date showed Mel telling contestant Eleanor, "I just don't know if I see us lasting long term." Gasps rippled through Bachelor Nation as it seemed he was coldly dismissing her feelings. But leaked, unedited footage told another story. In reality, Mel had said, "I just don't know if I see us lasting long term because I don't want to lead you on if your heart is in this more deeply than mine. I respect you too much for that." The heartfelt second half never made it to air. Instead, Mel was painted as callous, the villain of his own season. Producers allegedly leaned into this narrative behind the scenes. Contestants were encouraged to push Mel's buttons. A source close to the show revealed, they'd tell the women things like, "Ask him about commitment, push him about his past relationships, don't let him dodge questions." They knew it would spark tension. Meanwhile, Mel himself was under immense pressure. He was constantly reminded of ratings, told that viewers wanted him to be more outspoken, and coached to stir the pot rather than smooth things over. To Bachelor Nation, Mel began to look like a man who couldn't stop putting his foot in his mouth. But insiders now wonder, was that Mel's fount or the producer's plan all along? The dreaded villain edit has haunted reality TV contestants for years, but rarely has it been applied to the lead. Yet that's exactly what appeared to happen with Mel Owens. Each week, promos teased his most shocking comments yet. Headlines circulated about his insensitive remarks. Social media lit up with hashtags like Mel the Mess. Viewers began speculating that the producers wanted to frame him as the anti-Jerry. If Jerry Turner was the fairy tale, Mel Owens was the cautionary tale. One Reddit thread asked the million-dollar question. Did ABC set Mel up for a fall to make Jerry look even better in hindsight? If the goal was drama, it worked. Mel's season pulled in numbers that rivaled the original Golden Bachelor. Every week, fans tuned in not just to see who might win Mel's heart, but to witness the train wreck they felt was inevitable. But along with ratings came backlash. Viewers flooded social media, accusing ABC of exploiting Mel rather than supporting him. One fan tweeted, "This isn't the Golden Bachelor anymore. This is the Golden Setup." Off camera, Mel reportedly grew frustrated. Friends say he felt blindsided by how he was portrayed. In one leaked phone call with a former contestant, Mel allegedly vented, "They didn't want me to succeed. They wanted me to be the bad guy. I signed up to find love, not to be a punchline." Still, he played the role to the end, honoring his contract and showing up for the finale. Whether or not he found love is almost irrelevant. By then, the narrative was locked. Mel Owens wasn't the hero. He was the fall guy. Now, as the dust settles, questions remain. Did producers deliberately choose a lead they knew would stir controversy? Did they shape the story to guarantee fireworks at the expense of his dignity? And perhaps most hauntingly, did Mel Owens ever have a real chance at love, or was he always destined to be a headline? Fans are split. Some say Mel brought it on himself with his blunt personality. Others insist he was a victim of ruthless reality TV tactics. But one thing is certain: the Golden Bachelor will never look the same again. In the end, maybe Mel Owens' season was less about romance and more about ratings, less about connection and more about chaos. If that's true, then the question isn't whether producers set him up for a fall. It's whether audiences will ever forgive them for doing it. Because once you strip away the roses, the dates, and the fairy tale music, what's left is a man who believed in love and a show that may have believed more in manipulation. And as Bachelor Nation debates Mel's legacy, one chilling thought lingers. If producers can set up the Golden Bachelor to fail, who's really safe in this game of love?